Hey, movie fans, bored now, back with Rachel McDonald. Hello, Rachel, welcome back. And we finally get up to date with the Jurassic Park World franchise. Now, this was a long running franchise. We started these reviews over 2 years ago, and the original plan was to do the most recent movie, which came out in 2022, but neither of us ended up seeing it at the cinema. And although you did, didn't you? Or was it later
No,
on?
I didn't see this one at the
Okay,
cinema,
you said
no.
no. And then we just never got caught up with it. I mean, it took a while for it to become free on the streaming service for me. So we're finally coming back to it. Larger one in a way where they bring back the OG characters, to use a better term. And it's the one where now Owen and Claire have now settled down with a family on their own. They've got a ranch with all sorts of dinosaurs. And they've also got their daughter Maisie, who's also a clone, which sort of follows on from the plot from Fallen Kingdom. And you get a mixture of like old and new characters coming together. You get lots of nostalgic references. It's a very long movie. It's close to 2.5 hours. There's also a spy plot involved, which is a big thing, and there's a plot involving like the world's food supply, which becomes a very convoluted plot. Do you go second time around with Jurassic World?
You know what? I'm actually going
Dominion.
to volley this back to you first, because this is a second time watch for me, but it's a first time watch for you. So I'm actually really curious how you found this movie on the first time watch. Fess up.
Oh yeah. This was absolute dog shit. This was easily the worst Jurassic movie we've had by
And that's
far.
including Jurassic Park 3 with the talking raptors and everything.
Well, I think the reason is because really, in a way, this franchise is hard to balls up. Like, there's a certain, because even if you don't hit the heights of the original movie, it is very easy to do a fun, campy monster dinosaur style movie, and this even fails on those terms. It's goofy in a way I don't really like. Like the whole I do question this idea of them settling down on a ranch and breeding all these dinosaurs, considering the history we've had. That's
I don't think they're breeding them. I think it's just supposed to show that the dinosaurs exist with them. Yeah, no, I don't think Owen's stupid enough to breed dinosaurs.
No.
As dumb as he is, I don't think he's that dumb.
and I get that Claire started becoming more involved in like activism in the last film, but even so, given what we've seen in the last couple, it still seems a bit far-fetched, and than they would be so naive. An info dump, this documentary style news reporting, which is like very over the top, very dramatic, and just a little bit of I'm going to get into other issues, but a little bit of a CGI fest early on. Some cheesy scenes with like the dinosaurs at sea. You've got, I mean, ropey CGI when it comes to like Chris Pratt doing his action stuff, riding around on basically the horses, like he's sort of Indiana Jones. I think he's got the wrong franchise on that one.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just a really clunky opening to the movie.
When I first, so I think we're going to have to get into like plot points and spoilers early, just because there's a big complaint. So we all know that I really like Fallen Kingdom. I mean, it's not perfect by any means.
I enjoyed it.
But yeah, we had fun because it did something different. That's what we were talking about. It did something different. We had a bit of a horror vibe going on. And the end messed up the status quo. Suddenly dinosaurs are walking amongst us. And that was supposed to be the setup. So I remember when I first watched this movie, when they opened with that whole montage of the dinosaurs and the news, it is definitely a bit on the nose. But for me, I thought it was setting up a movie where we were going to now explore that. Like, that's what the movie was going to be about. We were going to figure out how the humans and dinosaurs exist together. How does this mess up our ecosystem? How do, what happens to the people who bought all the dinosaurs at the auction? And again, with Claire breaking into the place, I thought that felt like a bit extreme, but still a bit more of a natural progression of where she was in the second movie. But then all of a sudden, after like this first 20 minutes of showing us the dinosaurs, showing us the humans, showing us that, you know, humans have to exist with dinosaurs, we suddenly segue into this weird movie about locusts taking over crops and some evil corporation called Bison, you know, wanting to own the world's food chain. And suddenly Maisie's being kidnapped and we're in Malta on a spy chase and espionage. And it's like this movie didn't know what it wanted to be. It brought back the three main characters, the three core characters from the original, which, look, I'm always for nostalgia. I enjoy nostalgia more than you enjoy nostalgia. And even this was too much for me. I was watching this going, what is the point? Like, why? Because they served no point. The way they were connected to the story was by the loosest thread. You know, we found out that the locusts have DNA from the Cretaceous period. And that's literally the only link. And so somehow, because these locusts have DNA from the Cretaceous period, that means we have to get Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler and Ian Malcolm suddenly back. And it doesn't make any sense. And I think it really shows how little sense it makes having these characters here by the fact that 90% of the movie is the two separate character groups in their two separate stories. And then they just kind of smash them together at the end. And not even in a very organic way, you know, they just end up in the same place at the same time, and all of a sudden all the characters are together and it's really stupid. So I am with you. Rewatching this last night, I thought maybe it'll get a redemption. Maybe it's not as bad as I remember it being, but it was. I don't think there's not much characterization in this. I've complained about Owen before, and you can probably tell by my facial expressions that I still cannot stand his character. He's doing the same thing in this movie that he does in the last two. He has one trait. He's cool. Like, literally, that is Owen's entire character. Like, look, he's so cool riding horses with the dinosaurs. Look, he's so cool riding a motorbike through Malta. Look, he's so cool. He freaking... And I remember when Steve and I saw this the first time, we actually burst out laughing. That scene where he literally grabs a dinosaur by the throat. Like, what the hell, man?
Oh, that's so dumb,
That was so dumb. And Claire, like I said, she at least got a little bit at the beginning, but then they kind of cut it short. And then it felt like they were trying to do a bit of the storyline between, you know, like her and Chris Pratt's character and Maisie, you know, showing that they're a family and she's a teenager now and she's got issues, but they didn't really write it very well. And I don't think they established them well enough.
Yeah, I never really felt a bond between them as a family. I didn't find it that credible that she's their daughter or anything. And really, I think her character was sort of a bit wasted as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember preferring her in the last film, but in this film, she just came across as a bit of an annoying blank sort of slate, and the plot was just so forced, and I just didn't have enough stakes invested in it to really care about her being like kidnapped by the villains.
Yeah, I hear you. Me too. I was exactly the same. And you're right. She was a better character in the previous movie, I think, because there was so much mystery around her character. You know, they were hinting all these things. And so we were able to like put all the pieces together. But by this movie, we know she's a clone and we know that they're after her. And there's not much else that you can really do with her character. We continue the badass decay of the raptors. You know, they continue to suddenly be, oh, look, now we can save the baby raptor. And, you know, Chris Pratt making promises to dinosaurs, which I actually do really like that line from Jeff Goldblum when he's like, you made a promise to a dinosaur? Like, he's just like...
Yeah, one of the better lines from a character in the movie.
But, like, Laura Dern, Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, these are all really, really fun, really charismatic character actors, and they gave them nothing to do in this movie, you know, like no characterization. It was pure fan service, you know, seeing Ellie and Alan back together. Like, that didn't make any sense for the trajectory of their characters. It just didn't work for me.
No, I mean, the old spark wasn't quite there. I mean, I think Laura Dern out of the three came out the best of it. I think she was a little bit more committed to her role, and as Cindy pointed out, still got really nice hair, so that's something. But yeah, I felt like Sam Neill was just taking a paycheck. I felt Goldblum was taking the the paycheck.
Yeah.
And as I said to you the other night, I really got vibes of the best exotic Marigold Hotel. These characters, that's sort of like really, kind of adult style, older person comedy now, where they just seems to be serving that kind of role. I really cringed at the line Laura Dern saying he keeps slipping into my DMs. It's almost
really
like trying to be a bit more edgy and cool and like down with the kids. That was so cringe.
It didn't work, and the chemistry just, I don't know, it just wasn't there the way it is in the original movie. And I just found that, okay, so other Jurassic Park movies, you feel the stakes, like you feel like, oh my God, are they going to get out of a T-Rex paddock? Are they going to get off the island? Are they going to get away out of the mansion? Is the Indoraptor going to get them? But I found with this movie, they just kept putting them in these ridiculously stupid, over-the-top, dangerous situations. And then they just kept coming through fine. So it completely took away any kind of like dread, like, oh, Chris Pratt and that new chick, very, very pretty black chick. She was so pretty. I could not stop staring at her.
She was one of the better characters. Actually.
Yeah. Like they literally crashed a plane into a frozen lake and they walk away with no scratches.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene in Malta where like Claire is on the back of a truck that's like speeding at like massive speeds and she's somehow still fighting a raptor while the truck is speeding away. And it's like, it goes to this realm of unbelievability, and for me, I didn't feel any dread.
Yeah, I think those scenes felt a bit like Mission Impossible, and the problem is in Mission Impossible, you've got great like cruises actually doing those stunts, and they just feel like throwback physical stunts. And I think with this, you could tell it was just CGI. And
it was CGI.
It was just really poorly, and it's not what you come for these films for anyway.
No,
it just takes you out of these films. And
I don't even think the action scenes were that well done. Like I've seen better chase scenes, I've seen better fight scenes. Some of the scenes were so stupid they were just making me laugh. Like Owen getting into like a fucking, sorry, excuse my language, Owen getting into like a ring fight in the middle of like a black market with like some dodgy, like underworld trader, and like the dinosaurs are like getting into the fight too. And that whole little like underworld black market thing that looked so unrealistic. Like, okay, I know we're in a world where dinosaurs exist, so you have to stretch the realms of possibility a little bit, but it felt something like I was watching like a Star Wars scene, like we were in like, galactic space and we're in like some kooky market. It just, for me, it just didn't work.
Was that when they were selling the dinosaur meat?
Yeah.
I thought that was really silly.
Right? It was really dumb, and it just didn't work. And it was kind of a cool concept, but it just, and okay, no one makes any sense in this movie. So Claire is in Malta, okay? She's in a foreign country. She meets one chick who speaks English, who is obviously American. She meets the pilot chick, and she instantly decides that because this chick is American, she can trust her, and she starts like following her and being like, help me find my daughter. It's like, how do you know this chick is trustworthy? What, because she's American? Like it just, for me, a lot of the actions, a lot of the character decisions, very random. Even when like that pilot chick came back to help them, that felt really random to me, like all of a sudden out of nowhere, she's just popped up to save the day, and it just felt very disjointed. It was almost like I felt like they'd written like 3 different script drafts, right? And instead of completing one of the drafts, they just shoved all 3 drafts together and said, let's make a movie out of this mess. Did you kind of get that feeling like it was very disjointed?
I think so, because like Claire, I think Claire was, I mean, in a way it's proactive, so I don't mind like the way she was. Like you can see it as a mother, as a character beat for a mother.
Fair enough.
But putting herself out there, being very brave. But you just think, well, why don't you have a bit more of a plan before you go diving in? And there's other ways to go about this. I mean, you're not really solving anything. But I think probably the highlight of the movie is probably out of Dollhouse, or one of
Deacon Lockman.
Yes. Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, just great action star and villain, and shame she wasn't in more of the movie. She does sort of disappear after.
But it is nice to see her in a big Hollywood movie, even if it is this one. But it's nice to see her still working. And yeah, well, I remember when I saw her pop up, I was like, oh, it's Deacon, awesome, because I love her, and she's still looking fantastic. And yeah, no, she was fun.
Is she Australian?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I thought
got to start on Neighbours, like so many Australian actors do. But yes, she is Australian. She does a great accent. She does good accents, though. I mean, she does a flawless American accent. And when my sister and I were watching it last night, she's like, "Are you sure this chick is Australian? She sounds British." I'm like, "Yeah, Jess, she's doing an accent. She is Australian. Trust me." But yes, that was one of the highlights of the film. I also just wanted to talk quickly about the bad guy in this film. So the bad guy is this guy called Dodson, who is technically from the first film. He's the guy that Nedry is going to hand the shaving cream can off to. Yeah. But Jess and I, my sister and I, kept talking about this. They didn't seem to know what to do with his character. Like, I couldn't get a read on him. He didn't feel like some overarching evil, I'm going to destroy the world villain. But he also didn't seem to have a plan. And he was just kind of wandering around, like not really, I don't know. I couldn't get a read on him. And I didn't really like him as a villain because, I don't know, for me, he wasn't an effective character. How did you feel about him?
Yeah, I think they were just pulling things out of the air, like, because I've definitely seen that actor in other things, and he's okay, but he wasn't given much to work with here. No, he's pretty underwhelming villain.
Yeah.
Overall. Yeah.
So his death was really underwhelming too, because like he hadn't really done anything like bad enough for me to go, yes, I want him to die a horrible dinosaur death. Like, in Jurassic World, when Vincent D'Onofrio's character gets his arm bitten off by Blue, like you go, yes, because he was a good villain, he was, disgusting and like, yeah, let's get the raptors out and stuff. And even Hammond as like the disillusioned owner who's maybe a little too arrogant, he was really effective. But yeah, this guy is just like, I don't even know what they were trying to do with him. And the whole like global plot to like send out these locusts to like eat the crops of everyone who doesn't use this seed so that we can sell this seed and therefore we can control the world or the world's food chain. It was a really silly plot to have in a Jurassic Park movie, like it had nothing to do with dinosaurs and nothing to do with these characters. And I don't know why they decided to put that plot in. It was a very odd choice.
Yeah, no, because like you said, it's really, you didn't need half of this stuff. You didn't need like the OG characters, because like it was the most contrived way to link them to the actual plot. And another thing I wasn't so keen on is I didn't really like the way they used the theme. Like it was barely in the movie, and you just think, well, you either come up with your own theme, which can be good on its own, because like even like the Gilatino music from Jurassic World, I think is good because he's generally good with scores. But this was just nothing. You just got like teases of the old theme, and
just little snippets here and there.
Yeah, you either go full blown into it and embrace it, or you just do your own.
I agree. Because every so often you just hear this little snatch of just like a little familiar theme, and you'd be like, "Oh, what?" And it was almost like blink and you miss it. So yeah, definitely agree with that. And I really thought this movie was going to be about, like I said, like about them learning how to integrate and how to live with dinosaurs. But apparently, we just have learned how to do it, and it's just something that we automatically do. And that's why I thought the original characters would be brought back. I thought they would be brought back as, experts on like how to integrate dinosaurs into our land, because that would make sense. But to bring them back on this stupid locust thing, that makes no sense and is just so dumb.
Yeah, and I don't think really Goldblum was doing anything which he hadn't done in like the previous movies. His sort of like grand speeches, which in this case, in this movie, didn't really amount to a great deal of their explanations for what they've been doing. I just didn't really buy into. Like,
no, I agree. It was just a bad movie. Like, there's just not much else to say. And we need to talk about the climax, because oh my god, like, my sister and I were literally sitting there and we're like, why is this movie not ending? This movie will not end. Like, with every single step, there was like something else and something else and something else. And then we got that stupid like dinosaur fight at the end of the movie that had nothing to do with anything, and that was just put in there so that we could have the big spectacle of like two big dinosaurs fighting. It's like, but for me, I'm like, but we've been here. We've done this. We had the T-Rex versus the Indominus Rex at the end of Jurassic World. Pick something new. Do something different, you know? I don't just repeat the same thing because it got a good response the first time. For me, it just didn't work. And it was just another way to drag the movie out, and another way of putting the characters in peril that you knew they were going to get out of anyway. It just didn't work for me. What do you think of that final dinosaur fight?
No, it was lame. It was pretty forced. You know, some of the action scenes were okay, I guess, but I mean, some of the CGI was better than others. I know nowadays they rely a lot too much on CGI at times.
Yeah,
but definitely there's a place for it in movies like this. But yeah, no, the way it all played out at the end was really underwhelming. Really.
Oh, and one more plot point I have to bring up, because I really hated this. I did not like the retcon. I don't know if it's a retcon or if it's just that they changed the story, but in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, they make it very clear that Maisie is a clone who was created after the original girl, Charlotte, after she died. I think they say she died in a car crash or something, and then Lockwood created Maisie as a replacement. In this movie, suddenly Maisie was created by Charlotte herself and carried as an actual baby and birthed as a baby, and was not a replacement for Lockwood's daughter. And it was like they completely changed that storyline so that they could have that weird thing of like Maisie's DNA rewrites itself, and so therefore we're going to use the DNA to rewrite the locusts something or the other and get rid of them. Like, that was literally the only reason that they had that storyline. Oh, and then so we got that weird bit where like Laura Dern's character is all like, oh yeah, I knew your mother, and it's like, what? How come we haven't heard about this before? Like, you know, and I hate stuff like that because it's lazy writing, and you know that it's just been pulled completely out of the air. And I think it also lessens like Maisie as a character, that now she's kind of like, well, she's just another human being. She's not actually a proper clone. Whereas before there were all these hints that she was mixed with the raptor DNA, and, you know, that like, what are the ethics of cloning humans and things like that. And now all of that's just kind of gone, because it's like, oh, well, she was just a human baby made from like science or something. You know what I mean? Like, it just, for me, it kind of lessens Maisie's character and what they could have done with her character. And I really hated that retcon.
Last movie, which was really good. One of the highlights, probably one of the best ideas of recent sequels. So.
Yeah, and then they just did nothing with it. It's such a disappointment. So I'm guessing you weren't a fan of that either.
No, it was a letdown. It didn't make a lot of sense, and it was just needless. Yeah, I just wasn't into like her plight or the storyline involving her. There just wasn't enough stakes in it.
Agree.
Forgettable villains. Like, I do actually. I should call out the fun fact which Trash Picture Show gave me on the stream. Which is, if I can read my own writing, but fun fact, Alan Grant being stabbed by is it the Dime Trodder? So it was inspired by the Kenne collector card that came with the Kemba. I think I'm saying that right. JP93. Damn, I think it's Dime or Dam Trader figure. Yeah. So that's so a little bit of a tie in there. So
nice.
Fun fact from Trash Picture Shows.
Such a disappointing movie. And again, such a disappointing end, you know? Like, it would be bad enough if this was just one of the middle movies, but this is like the concluding movie. So it's like, this is where the franchise has been left off, in this really kind of blur place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think really, like a lot of the main characters, because Owen was probably at his best in the first movie, but I think over time he just got worse, and I think this is his low point of the movie. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think over time they just struggled to really justify too many appearances from him, and
Yeah.
yeah, they just overdid it with all the dinosaur stuff. I think less would have been more in many ways.
Yeah. And they didn't even like in the other movies, the dinosaurs serve a point.
Yeah.
You're either you're at the park or you've gone to Island Nublar and you're trying to do this, or it's a dinosaur auction. There's reasons for the dinosaurs to be where there are. But in this one, it was just like, we're just gonna have dinosaurs everywhere because we can. Oh, we're using dinosaurs for this. Oh, we're using dinosaurs for that. Oh, there's dinosaurs down in the sewers. Oh, there's dinosaurs up in the trees. It's like, what is happening? Like, there just seemed to be no rhyme and reason for anything really in this movie. It was just like they threw a bunch of ingredients into a pot, stirred it around, and poured out this movie, and that's what we got. It was just so badly done on so many different levels. It's really quite amazing. I didn't think the franchise could get worse than Jurassic Park 3 with, Taya Leone's god-awful character screaming her head off and, talking raptors and God and everything else. But this, I think, takes the cake because at least the third one has a straightforward storyline, and it's got a clear goal and a clear arc and there's characterization and stuff like that. But this one was just so all over the place. I don't know what happened.
This is definitely the low point of the franchise, without doubt. Yeah, just not really a good time. So what are you going to rate Jurassic World Dominion?
I kind of just want to give it a 0 because it was really a bad film. But I mean, look, I'm going to give it some points for the following reasons. One, it is a Jurassic Park film, and I love this franchise, so it gets a point for that. Yeah. 2, I'll give it a point because it does bring back the main 3, and even though I don't think they were used very well, I at least like to see them. And I'll give them another 3rd point because I do enjoy the first 20 minutes, and I think if they had built on those first 20 minutes, we could have had a decent film. So 3 points. It gets 3 out of 10 for me. There we go. What about you?
I'll just say, although it's a bit on the contrived side, I for one don't mind Ellie and Alan getting back together.
Fair enough. They're in
the movies anyway, and we want them to get back together.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to begrudge them that. I'm going to go 3 as well. This is really a low point of the franchise. Yeah,
definitely.
No inspiration in this ridiculous spy plot of the movie. Yeah.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to pull something out on the spot for you to do, because I know this has been a long time coming, but if you can, off the top of your head, rank the Jurassic Park movies from least favorite to most favorite.
Definitely the worst. Might go Fallen Kingdom just because there were issues with that, even though I liked a lot of it. I've only seen it once, so if I return
fair enough.
Could go higher. See, I'm a bit of an outlier in some ways because I might actually sit World next. I'm a little bit of an outlier. Overall, I think it's an alright sequel because he recreates some of the visuals and horror, but I also thought he was forced to make it, and the script or characters wasn't so good.
Fair enough.
I'm then going to go Jurassic Park 3 just because I think it's quite a fun B movie overall. And then I'm going to go the first Jurassic World, which I think might still be my favorite overall. And then the original. So that's my order.
Nice. So, all right. So mine would be, obviously, Dominion comes in dead last because it is atrocious. After that, I would probably go at number 3. I've never been a fan of number 3. Something about those stupid characters and the talking raptors is a little too much for me. After that, I would probably go with Jurassic Park 2. because as we talked about, Ian Malcolm is a great character. He's not necessarily a great lead character. The kid in that can get very annoying, and basically it's one of those movies where the good guys actually do all the bad crap, and they're the reasons that things like go badly. So I think when I watch that movie, it's still well directed and it's still got some really fun scenes. I mean, I remember when we did our review, we both really loved the scene where Sarah falls on the glass and she's lying there on the glass when the bus is hanging off the thing. Like, that's a great, so it's number 2. So that's Dominion, number 3, number 2. Then for me would probably come Jurassic World, because look, I know it was very much steeped in nostalgia, and I know that we don't get the best characters, but it's fun to see a fully running park. It's fun to see all the dinosaurs and stuff. I actually quite like Claire as a character, and I think she gets an okay arc in that movie. And for me, that one is definitely a nostalgia trip. And because it's such a nostalgia trip, I have a lot of fun watching it, because I can coast through on nostalgia, which for me kind of overrides a lot of the issues that are in that movie. Then after that would be Fallen Kingdom, because I love Fallen Kingdom. It really is. It's my second favorite. It just, for me, because it did something so different, but it did it really well, in my opinion. Like, I loved the cheesy 80s dinosaur auction. I thought that was one of the funnest things that they have done. And I loved the Indoraptor stalking Maisie around the mansion, like some old-timey, like Hammer horror villain. You know, it had some really cool gothic vibes. And it gave us a great setup, which unfortunately Dominion did nothing with. So that's my number 2. And then, of course, the original has to come in at number 1. I mean, that's one of my favorite films of all time. You know, the magic of that movie, the Spielberg-ness of that movie is just so good. And I've had a fun time. I know it's taken us a while, but I've had a fun time watching through these and doing the franchise. And see, now you've watched Dominion, you've got it, you put it under your belt, and you never have to watch it again.
I said it the other night. Well done, Colin Trevorrow. This is the low point of your career. At least you're lower than this. I can't see. And I think, again, we have a similar problem, because really having 2 different directors over 3 films at least proved to be a problem. Like, sometimes it's just best to give, like, the franchise, the trilogy to one person. Then you have a bit more continuity. And by the end, we didn't have a lot of continuity. Okay.
But we'll always have the original film.
We will always, and you know, fun to be had along the way. And I think something like the first one, Jurassic World, from this trilogy, I think it was a decent enough way to use nostalgia, where there was an idea behind it to do with like theme parks and how they sort of bleed into nostalgia, and so ups and downs, but this is definitely the weakest.
It just sucks that we end on such a low point, you know.
Okay.
Well, that was fun.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. This has been our Jurassic World Dominion review. Finally got to it. Like and subscribe as always. Let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. What are your favorite and least favorite of the franchise? Support me for as little as $1 a month on patreon.com/boardnow. And Rachel, I've got her banner up on the screen with her details if you want to plug your channel.
Yes, guys, you can follow me, Rachel McDonald, video essays on TV shows and movies. I post as regularly as I can. I am hindered a little bit with some personal health problems, but just come and follow me and you'll get a lot of 90s and naughty stuff. And my Tumblr and Twitter are linked through there. And I have just recently joined Instagram, where I will be posting lots of graphic art. So come and follow me there. I will link that through my YouTube as well.
Okay, thanks, guys. Keep watching monster movies, dinosaur movies, whatever you want to say.
But the good ones.
The good ones, yeah. And we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Blue had a baby. That's impossible.
Hey, girl.
You look just like your mother.
I promise you, I am gonna get her back.
genetic power has now been unleashed.
We made a terrible mistake.
The doomsday clock might be about out of time.
If our world's gonna survive, what matters is what we do now.
I could use your expertise.
You coming or what?
A baby raptor? I made a promise we would bring her home.
You made a promise to a dinosaur.
Yeah. What?
Everybody hold on to somebody. That can't be right. What is that?
Biggest carnivore the world has ever seen.
Run!
See? Not so bad.